So the 14th chapter is called Guna Traya Vibhaga Yoga. So Guna Traya we understand, teen guna, and uska vibhag, how are in the division, basic division, and it's a yoga because every chapter, as we know, in the Bhagavad Gita is a yoga. It helps you understand how to merge yourself with the Atma, right? You are the Jivatma, and the Jivatma has to go and link up with the Paramatma through various yogas. So this yoga is about that knowledge. So it is a rather short. It is one of the shortest is only 20 shlokas, which earlier on I had mentioned was the 12th chapter and the 15th chapter, which is the next one that we will do today, hopefully. So this has got 27 shlokas, and the shloka themes are there in front of you. This is from Swami Vidyaprakashananda. So we will quickly go through what is it that these shlokas are talking about. So essentially, if you look at the first four shlokas, which is the first row and the division into that theme, the theme is excellence of jnana and the origin of the world by the union of Prakriti and Purusha. So I think the key concept here is Prakriti and Purusha, because the guna is a part of Prakriti. Prakriti is divided into three categories, which is Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. And therefore, at the beginning of the chapter, a distinction is being made between Prakriti and Purusha. Prakriti being material nature and Purusha being the Atma. It can be called the self, it can be called the Brahman. There are various terms which sometimes are different, but most of the times being the same thing. So the first four simply introduce the concept that the universe that you see is a combination of Prakriti and Purusha. And this, in the 13th chapter, which we did yesterday, Prakriti is called Kshetra and Purusha is called Kshetragya. So the concept is the same, that there is something which is material and there is something which gives power to the material, which gives knowledge to the material, which gives awareness to the material, which gives happiness to the material, which is Satchidananda, which is Purusha. So the first four shlokas talk about that. And then we have from 5 to 13 an exposition of what the three gunas are. So sattva ye hota hai. Sattva is illuminating and flawless. वो 14.6 में बोला है. फिर rajas है passion, born of desire, attachment. So rajas is about action. Tamas is about ignorance. So from 5 to 13, and then it also talks about what are the consequences of sattva, rajas, and tamas. So sattva leads to happiness, rajas leads to action, and so on and so forth. So 5 to 13 is, you could say, an exposition on the three gunas in terms of how they are defined, in terms of what they result in terms of how they are all to be found together, though in different proportions. So sometimes I may have a high quantum of sattva. So in the morning, usually meditation is advocated in the morning because you are easily able to come to the sattva state of mind. During the night, of course, unless you live in an ashram where they have meditation cycles which run across the day and in the evening also, usually at night you don't meditate. Usually, I'm saying, because it is the time of tamas, where your mind may not be that sharp, and during the daytime. So the normal division of the day is, pehla pehar, pehar, dusra pehar, tisra pehar, as we normally say. So the sattva, rajas, tamas, and therefore the second row or the second theme, the nature of three gunas, is from 5 to 13. Then the effect of the three gunas is from 14 to 18. So let me tell you what are the effects they talk about. Some of the effects are, okay, so it says that what happens when you die with, sattva predominating, then you reach the pure world. When you die with rajas predominating, then you are born with a great attachment to action. And when someone passes away with tamas dominating, then they are born probably in the wombs of you know, tamasic creatures, so animals, birds. So the whole question, if you recall, was also, to the effect that, does the, Jivatma go to a lower category? The lower category migration is possible if your mind is tamasic at the point of time of your departure from your body. Also, if you recall the 8th chapter, which says, Om Ityekaksharam Brahma Vyaharan Mamanusmaran. So one who leaves the body chanting Om, and of course, it means that you have been yogic throughout your life and, you are chanting Om all the time. And somehow you have um, premonition of when your last moments are going to be. So you keep chanting Om. So when you leave the body, so when you say when you, it means your Atma. So when your Atma leaves the body with you chanting Om, then it has a different destination, which is the higher spiritual worlds. So that is the that's what it says about the 3 gunas. Though I was quoting about Om from the 8th chapter, but here in row number 3, we're talking about the impact of Sattva, Rajas, Tamas on the moment of death or the moment of departure, dehant, deh ka jab ant hota hai. So actually the Sanskrit and Hindi words are so precise. You don't say death, which has got mean. Deh ant, simple. So deh ant does not mean purushant. So your purusha is always there, your kshetragya is always there. Only the deha, the kshetra, and the prakriti that you have, they are obviously going to get dissolved, and they will obviously fade away. Okay. So now with that kind of background, so if this is what happens to your deha, then row number 4 looks at how to attain Paramatma. Correct. So how to attain Paramatma is there in just 2 shlokas, which we can in fact talk about. So it says that ultimately, when you know that the kshetragya, the purusha, the atma is gunatita, guno ke par hai, because that's by very definition. Gunas belong to prakriti, jo atma hai, wo guno ke par hai. So when you focus on the atma in your final moments, then obviously, and one of the symbols of the atma is Om. Therefore, chanting Om is taken to be auspicious, and one of the rather sure ways of ensuring that you don't land up, in a wrong kind of birthplace, in the longer run. So guna, and the 20th shloka is about guna, that the embodied body having transcended the 3 qualities becomes free from birth, death. So it's not that you don't die, but you don't die in a way that will result in a problematic birth in your next janma. So this is what we have in the 4th row, which is the way to attain Paramatma. Then there is a very interesting question. So typically Arjuna asks this question. When Krishna talks about something which is seemingly very difficult, he says, boss, give me proof. So if you recall, in the 2nd chapter, the last 18 shlokas are कि स्थितप्रज्ञ कौन होता है, कैसे बात करता है, कैसे चलता है, कैसे खाता है, पीता है. And there are 18 shlokas on Sthitaprajna, which is very famous. In the same way, in the 14th chapter, there is a famous question by Arjuna, which is Kairlinge स्त्रीन गुणान एतान अतीतो भवति प्रभो. हे प्रभो, ये गुणों के अतीत जो बंदा है, जो आप कहते हैं कि ही इज देयर, किमाचार है, वो कैसे आचार करता है. कथम चैतान स्त्रीन गुणान अतिवर्तते, कैसे बात करता है. Then the qualities of a person who is a gunatita, and therefore he is called Jivan Mukta, is mentioned, or rather is described between shloka 21 and 27. So it is also very similar actually. Sama dukha swastha, वो जो है दुख और सुख में बैलेंस होता है. फिर मानापमान यो जो अपमान है और मान है उसमें बैलेंस रहता है. मित्रा अरि पक्षयो, दैट इज मित्र जो है और जो अरि है, अरि माने एनिमी है, दोनों का पक्षपात नहीं करता, वो दोनों में जो है ही इज बैलेंस्ड. ओके. And he also has a degree of devotion to the Atma, Jivan Mukt. So he said, he who serves me with love and affection and undeviating devotion ultimately reaches me. So the 14th chapter ends by saying that a certain amount of bhakti is required towards Paramatma, then you can go beyond the three gunas of the Prakriti. So what we kind of understand from here is when you hook yourself to a higher ideal, when you hook yourself to a higher power, then that higher power will slowly lift you up and will ensure that your last moments are indeed filled with a sattvic mind at the least, if not you chanting Om. So I will now look at some of the insights offered by Professor Dr. Ram Shankar Tiwari. So given the fact that the first theme that we had in this chapter was about Prakriti and Purusha, so he's calling it, he's interpreting Prakriti as mother and Purusha as father, which is the Hindi kind of interpretation. So God is the mother and the father of all creation. The spark of life, the point number 2, within, as the soul, is the expression of God himself glowing within our body. So जो आपके अंदर आत्मा है, it is also Paramatma, because it is one and the same, and it is because of the Atma being present in you that your Deha, your body, has got life. When the Atma exits, then it becomes Dehanta, right? Which is what we use as a term to demonstrate the death of the body. Now, point number 3 is, in this system, the soul partially veiled by qualities of Prakriti and forgets its real nature. तो जो आपके अंदर जो आत्मा है, क्योंकि उसके ऊपर में प्रकृति का लेयर होता है, your body, and the body has a tendency to be either sattvic, rajasic or tamic or tamasic. So therefore you fail to become gunatita. You cannot go beyond, because it's like a parda. You are obviously, you're not able to penetrate and see bhai sabke piche atma hi hai. So you sometimes forget your real nature, और उसको अज्ञान बोलते हैं या माया बोलते हैं. Forgetting the true nature of each one of us, which is the Atma, is because of the Prakriti, which is in 3 modes, and that makes us forget our true nature. Then point number 4 is purity and passion and inertia. So these are the anglicized English versions. Purity is Sattva, passion is Rajas, and inertia is Tamas, are the 3 attitudes that function through various modes of predominance. So in your mind, you can have purity, you can have passion, and inertia. Of course, English is always subject to interpretation. So I may not use the word 3 modes of predominance. 3 modes of the mind is something that can be said, but I would leave it as Professor Ram Shankar Tiwari has written it. Then we have point number 5 as an insight. 3 gunas create attachment, resulting in pain. So you may be wondering how sattva can create attachment. Yes, sattva can also create attachment. For example, if I'm attached to all these books that I have, and then I refuse to give anything at all, मैं ये book नहीं दूंगा, वो book नहीं दूंगा, then it becomes attachment to sattva. Reading a book is good, but being attached to the book beyond a point is again being foolish. So sattva can also result in a lot of pain, because I may feel very bad that I have lost a book, or that someone took a book from me. So all these things are examples I'm giving from my own background, so that it is understood that we have to go beyond sattva also. Then point number 6 is get above all the three by generating calmness of mind, detachment from anxiety about the fruits of action, attracting the serene illumination of divine knowledge. So जब आपके अंदर ज्ञान की ज्योति जलती है, तो you can assume that you've gone beyond the 3 gunas. And of course that is a consequence of ऊपर वाले की दया, उसको प्रसाद बोलते हैं. तो जब ईश्वर का प्रसाद होता है आपके, then you can manage to overcome the 3 gunas. So here we have again some insights into how to practically make this happen. Overcome tamas by destroying negligence, laziness, ignorance, lethargy, dullness. Overcome rajas by righteous activity, a balanced life in all aspects, subduing greed as well as such work that does not give a sense of fulfillment. After being absorbed in sattva by good work, try to absorb these traits and keep away the ego sense. Sattva में क्या होता है? You may develop an ego that look, I am doing this, I am doing, मैं इतने मंदिर बनाता हूँ, मैं इतने क्लास लेता हूँ, मेरे पास इतने सारे बुक्स हैं गीता के. So all this is ego as a consequence of sattva, which is also dangerous. So it warns you that sattva should not lead to egoism. Then the eternal nature, which is dharma, is our whole objective. And all pervading consciousness functions through all beings and also through nature by way of gunas. So there is no one. So it says that there is no one, even the greatest saint has a certain amount of tamas and a certain amount of rajas. At least the minimum quantity of tamas is the saint even has to sleep. The minimum quantity of rajas is for Sharira Yatra, which is the journey of the body of the sant. He's got to get up, he's got to wash his body, he's got to eat food, he's got to obviously eliminate the waste. So he also has got a certain amount of rajas that has to be operated. So he may be 95% sattva, but again, if he develops an ego on account of that 95% sattva, the sattva is of no consequence to him and it does not really benefit him. So we need to be very, very wary of sattva, because we say we have arrived. But if I say I have arrived, and if that is the attitude that I take, then sattva becomes dangerous and can equally be binding. Though it does not harm anybody, such sattva will harm me, myself, because of the ego that I have behind the activities of sattva. So finally, we have the last point, which is unattached action is sattvic, attached action is rajasic, and no action is tamasic. So act, but counteract. What is this? 1 minute. Counteract, you must not, right? So you must not act in the opposite way. So that is what we have in chapter 14. So we can stop for a discussion here, and then we can go to chapter 15, I think, because every chapter has got something that needs to be discussed. And if you move to the next chapter, then we may not be able to remember the questions behind. So I'm going to stop here. I'm going to stop the share, and we can have a discussion.
It's 12 o'clock.
So any questions? Do I see any questions in chat here? No, I don't see any questions. Anybody has any thoughts to express?
ये लास्ट में आपने बोला ना, इसमें अनअटैच्ड एक्शन इज सात्विक,
हाँ,
व्हाइल यू सेड कि सात्विक में भी अटैचमेंट होता है.
हाँ, तो एक्टिविटी को सत्व मान सकते हैं आप, लेकिन उसमें अगर आप ईगो डेवलप करते तो आइडियली अनअटैच्ड सात्विक होता है, लेकिन फिर भी उसमें कुछ अटैचमेंट होता है ना.
हाँ,
फिर भी उसमें कुछ ना कुछ होता है. तो मैं कहूंगा भाई ये मेरी भगवत गीता है, मत लेके जा. तो वो हो गया. So I mean, just to give an example, or it could be कि भाई मैं इतने सारे यज्ञ करता हूँ, इसका जो है फल मुझे मिलता है. So these kind of things. So basically जो सबसे बड़ा संत होता है वो आश्रम खोलता नहीं है, अपने आप खुल जाता है. और जो आश्रम खोलता है वो बंधा हुआ है. भाई उसको आश्रम चलाना है, उसको he has to get funding. So all these are little problems that we have around the entire business of being sattvic. So sattvic is also dangerous, but definitely being sattvic is better than being rajasic or tamasic. तो पहले आप सात्विक बनो, then you can deal with the question of ego with respect to sattva. Okay.
What
So
is
if
meaning
you're
by
totally
counteraction? Is it reaction? Counteraction? Counteract? Counteract? What is counteract?
So what he means by counteract is that if you find that you are, because there is one shloka, I will tell you the shloka. It is in that context that he's saying. I'll just tell you. It's shloka which says, this is shloka 4.10, 4.10. So it says, Sattva prevails overcoming Rajas and Tamas. Rajas prevails overcoming Sattva and Tamas. Rajas tamas chabi bhuya sattvam bhavati bharata. Rajas sattvam tamas chaiva tamas sattvam rajas sattvam. So in this balance, in this triangle, we have, you can imagine an equilateral triangle. So an equilateral triangle can suddenly become a scalene triangle, which means that one side, all the three sides are not balanced, or it can become an isosceles triangle, which means that two sides are balanced, but one side is very less. So there is this constant flux that is happening between these three states. And therefore, what it says is, भाई अगर आपने देखा कि भाई आज तमस ज्यादा है, तो रजस करो आप, if you feel very sleepy, go for a walk, ऐसे बोलते हैं ना. और भाई आज बहुत एक्टिविटी हो गया, बहुत नींद आ गया, तो भाई आपको सोना ही पड़ेगा if you have too much of activity. नहीं यार, आज जो है गीता के 18 चैप्टर पढ़ लिए, बहुत दिमाग जो है ऊपर उड़ गया, तो आज हम आगे जो है गीता नहीं पढ़ेंगे. So these are some very small examples to indicate that if one of the gunas, so you cannot see, nobody can claim I am always sattvic. Nobody can claim I'm always rajasic. Nobody can claim I'm always tamasic. इसलिए रावण में भी अच्छे गुण थे, दुर्योधन में भी अच्छे गुण थे, क्योंकि they have some sattva in them. Okay, so when it says counteract, it simply means once you know that these three forces are always going to be present, you can make modifications by taking up the activities of the other forces so that any imbalance is corrected. That is the So basically it is maintaining the equilibrium of the three forces, something that we would have read in mechanics. वो बीच में एक centroid होता है, line वाइन खींचते थे. So that's my understanding. That's my understanding.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else has any questions? Yes, Sunil ji. You are on mute.
कि तमस में नो एक्शन की बात लिखी गई है, तो आई थिंक नो एक्शन और बैड एक्शन दोनों बातें उसमें होंगी ना, मतलब डिसरप्शन जैसे लोग करते हैं, नो एक्शन और बैड एक्शन दोनों कहना चाहिए. अच्छा, और एक मेरी क्वेरी थोड़ी सी और है इसमें. जब हम 18 चैप्टर को 18th को श्लोका को देखते हैं इसके अंदर, तो इसमें ऊर्ध्व गच्छन्ति कहा गया है, जो कि ट्रांसलेशन में स्वर्ग को जाना बोल रहे हैं. अगर मतलब आप सद्गुण करेंगे तो ऊर्ध्व गच्छन्ति हो जाएंगे, वरना आप मनुष्य लोक में रहेंगे, और वरना आप निम्न योनियों में जन्म लेंगे. ये वाली बात कही गई है.
हाँ, ऊर्ध्वम गच्छन्ति सत्त्वस्था, मध्यम गच्छन्ति
राजसा.
हाँ, राजसा.
हाँ, जगन्य गुण वृत्तिस्था, अधो गच्छन्ति तामसा.
करेक्ट. तो ये जो है, ओके.
नहीं, मेरा क्वेश्चन इसमें एक छोटा सा क्वेश्चन है. वो क्वेश्चन ये है कि इसमें जैसे मतलब ऊर्ध्व गच्छन्ति, मतलब अगर हम ऊपर के योनि में जा रहे हैं, इसका मतलब जैसे स्वर्ग वगैरह जा रहे हैं, तो जीवन मुक्ति और स्वर्ग अलग अलग चीजें हैं.
हाँ, देखिए, फिर भी आप स्वर्ग जा रहे हैं, इसका ये मतलब नहीं है कि आप जीवन मुक्त हैं. आपको फिर से शायद आना पड़े बैक ऑन अर्थ, क्योंकि फिर भी आपके हमेशा जो है, इट इज नॉट प्रोपोर्शन की बात होती है. करेक्ट. अगर आप 80% सात्विक हैं और माने 10% राजसिक और 10% तामसिक हैं, तो आपको 80% तो ऊपर लेके जाएगा स्वर्ग को. लेकिन ये जो 10% आपके पास पड़ा हुआ है बाकी दोनों का, ये आपको वापस लेके आएगा. अगर आप
स्वर्ग जाने के बाद भी रीबर्थ हो सकता है.
बिल्कुल.
Okay.
Right? So once you enjoy the consequence, it's like one balance, credit balance. एक डेबिट बैलेंस है, क्रेडिट बैलेंस है. तो आपने क्रेडिट बैलेंस में जो है जबरदस्त सात्विक डाल दिया है, फिर भी आपके लेफ्ट साइड में आपका जो है कुछ ना कुछ 2 or 3 things are still there which you are not able to manage well. So that will bring you back. So ideally speaking, you should go beyond the 3 gunas also. तो हम तो ह्यूमन बीइंग्स है ना. So our job is, पहले जो है तमस को कम करो, उसके बाद रजस को कम करो. तो सत्व और रजस दोनों कम होने से सत्व बढ़ता है. जितना हो सके सत्व को बढ़ाओ. एंड देन सी, ये इट इज नॉट सम काइंड ऑफ मैथमेटिकल इक्वेशन कि अभी मेरे में सत्व जो है 97% है, अभी तो हम पास हो गए, अभी तो हम नेक्स्ट लेवल पे जाएंगे. सो दैट डिसीजन इज मेड बाय द सुप्रीम पावर कि भाई इसने इतना सत्व किया है, इसको पास किया जाए, फेल किया जाए, कहाँ किया जाए. So your job is simply to be as सात्विक as possible. अब जो है ये नहीं कह सकते, ठीक है भाई अभी तो मुझे लगता है as per this श्लोका मैं सात्विक हो गया, अब मैं गुणातीत होने के लिए मैं अगले स्टेप्स लूंगा. तो ये सब जो भी स्टेप्स जो है they are given as discrete steps, you know, because they are all in discrete shlokas.
तो
हाँ.
आप जड़,
हाँ.
you can be a, आपका जन्म जो है वो पुनर्जन्म जो होगा वो जड़ अवस्था में होगा.
Yeah, sorry, I just press leave the meeting instead of got it. Sorry. Yes, go ahead, Sunil ji.
हाँ, तो उसमें अगर आपका तामसिक गुण है और
हाँ.
अगर वो ज्यादा है, इक्विलिब्रियम में नहीं है, तो आपका जन्म जो है मनुष्य योनि में होकर जड़ योनि में होगा, जड़ में होगा आपका.
Correct.
लाइक सत्य से हम जा सकते हैं, ऊपर जा सकते हैं, तो उसके नीचे भी आ सकते हैं, मनुष्य के नीचे, अगर आपके तामसिक प्रवृत्ति बढ़ रही है तो.
तो अक्सर ये पाया जाता है कि जो आश्रम के आसपास जो कुत्ते होते हैं या जो भी जानवर होते हैं, उनमें थोड़ा सात्विक गुण ज्यादा होता है, इसलिए वो घूमते रहते हैं. There are many stories of saints जिनके पास जो है ये एनिमल्स घूमते हैं. तो no doubt in their previous birth they had tamas, लेकिन जो भी सत्व था उसकी वजह से वो आश्रम में आते हैं और जो है जो भी वहाँ का संत है उसकी बात को मानते हैं. वो कहता है चले जाओ, चुप से बैठो, चुप से बैठते हैं. So this is a fact of life. So we need to actually, at least as we grow older, जब जवानी में तो हमारे पास बड़े सारे तामसिक होते हैं, कम से कम अब तो सात्विक गुण जो है कमाना चाहिए, because otherwise you may find yourself landing up somewhere where you don't want to go. Correct? And you won't know that also. So I mean, see, the thing is that इसको अगर आप scientifically लेंगे तो there is every two, because you see, what do you mean by this? The atoms of your body and my body ultimately will dissolve. Okay, they go back to nature, and your atoms can land up in the food of a dog and therefore become the sperm of a dog, and therefore you can, some part of you can be born as an animal. So there is deep logic in this. As someone else also said, that 5,000 years ago, when Buddha was breathing, he had exhaled a certain quantum of air, expired, inhalation, exhalation. So someone did a statistical calculation that there is every probability that in one day, you are inhaling at least 10 atoms which were exhaled by Buddha. So it is both ways, both plus as well as minus. So it's basically saying that matter cannot be created or destroyed, and the matter of your body can land up as the matter in another animal. Right. So that's the thing. Yeah.
See, at one place I was reading, he was trying to explain that, see, Rajas is the action. So a uncontrolled action, can leave you bizarre. What he was trying to say, like in a car, you have an accelerator. So once you have an accelerator, you need a brake also.
Correct.
So Rajas is basically the inertia, which is the controlling force. Tamas. The Rajas is the action force, correct, which it goes. And the third one is the balancing. I mean, how good you are being able to balance between the Rajas and the Tamas, that is what is the Sattva. So there are several interpretations put in their own way.
So you see, that is the beauty.
राकेश, आपने बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग दिया है, इसका हमको रेफरेंस जरूर देना. ये वाला हमने नहीं सुना था, तो पढ़ेंगे इसको कि सत्वा जो है इन दोनों के बैलेंस को कहते हैं. आई थिंक गीता में तो ऐसा नहीं कहा गया राज.
नहीं, गीता देखिए, गीता में जो कहा गया है उसका मीनिंग, सी गीता by itself is very difficult to understand purely on words of Sanskrit.
Right.
So it would be some commentator who's made this observation. Now you don't know whether it's a modern commentator, but this is also based on, so if you just take that shloka, urdham gachanti, madhyam tishtanti, and going down, you can also very clearly interpret that in terms of what Rakesh has said now. So it is a matter of interpretation. Therefore, my advice always is read at least 4 or 5 commentaries of the Gita, because we often think that Gita is subject to only one interpretation, and we take that one interpretation. Like let us say you are your family, let us say, is Divine Life Society ke followers hain, correct? Then you will read the Bhagavad Gita by Swami Shivananda. So Swami Shivananda has given one interpretation, and throughout your life you'll be reading only one interpretation, and you'll think that is the only interpretation. But when you open up your mind to multiple interpretations, you understand that at the Sant level also there are differences in terms of interpretation, and therefore there's nothing right or nothing wrong. It is simply, I have not yet found a very, very criminal person writing a commentary on the Gita, right? It is very rare to find a criminal person. So it is obviously someone who's scientific or someone who is spiritual or someone who's philosophical who writes. And therefore, there is nothing wrong in any interpretation, because unlike that, I have a book on management, which is written by a mafia boss, actually. It is called Mafia Management. So this fellow was a mafia leader or mafia don in New York. And then he talks about how he manages his gang. So he says in his book, I'll bring it out next time. It is not kahin upar rakha hua hai, because all these kind of books are kept on top. They are not in the primary. You will not believe. He says that I run a criminal syndicate. Our job is drugs, prostitution, protection, and supari. Okay. Then he says, how should you choose your subordinates? Okay, they must be obedient to you. And how should you organize your crime? Pura aisa likha hua hai. So the fact is that, so he can write a book on management. A mafia don can write a book on management. But a mafia don can never ever write a book on the Gita. So anybody who has taken the time to write a book on the Gita, it is published, in my mind, deserves to be understood. You may not agree with him, because management can be written by a don, but Gita cannot be interpreted by a don. This is my fundamental thesis. कि भाई सारे interpretation आप पढ़ो, जो आपको अच्छा लगे उसको ले लो, जो आपको अच्छा नहीं लगे, जो आपको लगा बेकार है. For me, personally, I think all ISKCON interpretation is bekar. That's my personal opinion. But then you need not agree with that. Correct? You need not agree with that. Rajshekhar, you are wrong. I personally like all the ISKCON commentary. So that's because the person who wrote the ISKCON commentary is also Swami, Swami Srila Prabhupada, who established 108 temples. So therefore, the one thing that I have learned from the multiple interpretations is, since it cannot be written by a negative person, an asuric person, a rakshasic person will never ever print a Gita. Therefore, it has to be a degree of sattva. You may not agree, but आपकी mentality है. So that's my point. Long point.
मेरे क्वेश्चन जो पिछले सेशन में रह गया था, उसका पार्ट एक्चुअली मैं ये इंटरप्रेट करना चाह रहा था कि जैसे स्वर्ग जाने की बात कही और हमने नीचे की योनि में जन्म लेने की बात कही, तो इसका मतलब जो हमारे यहाँ फिलोसफिकल कंसेप्ट स्वर्ग नरक का है, तो उसके बियॉन्ड जीवन मुक्ति है.
उसके बियॉन्ड जीवन मुक्ति, यस, वेरी करेक्ट,
राइट. मतलब देयर आर 3 पार्ट्स, एक तो स्वर्ग नरक या जीवन मुक्ति.
या सो द थिंग इज, आपके 6th चैप्टर में तो लिखा हुआ है ना. 6th चैप्टर में क्या, मैं आपको, दिस इज वेरी क्लियरली सेट इन द 6th चैप्टर, वेयर ही सेज, क्योंकि अर्जुन पूछता है जो योगी है जिसका योग जो है छूट जाता है, उसका क्या होता है. So then Krishna answers. So the question is, this is, I'll tell you, 6th chapter. It comes in shloka 37. So ayati. So, O Krishna, tell me the fate of that person who has got faith but lacks control and mind wanders away without attaining the perfection in yoga. Then Krishna answers ki neither in this world nor in the next world does he face destruction. Bhai, uska kabhi nash nahi hoga. Right? Having attained heaven of the righteous and dwelt there for countless years, he who fell from yoga is born again in a pure and prosperous family. 6.41. 6.42. Or he is even born in a family of wise yogis. Okay. So आपको जो है सत्व कमाने में कोई, you will not be at a loss. Therefore, O son of Kurus, he regains his yogic understanding that he had acquired in his former body and strives even more than for perfection. So I will presume that I would have done some bloody studies of Gita in my previous janma, which is why I'm doing all this collection. That's my assumption. Okay. Okay. So please read from 640 all the way up to 647. That will give you the concept. So it says Swarga is also temporary. जितना आपने अच्छा किया है वो टाइम तक आप स्वर्ग में रहोगे, उसके बाद you will have to come back to earth, and Jivan Mukti is got on earth. Okay, so are we okay with this idea?
Yeah, I wanted to understand this.
Okay, yeah, yes.
गुणातीत होने पर मतलब आपकी जीवन मुक्ति हो जाती है.
Correct, absolutely. गुणातीत, तो आपको जो सत्य से भी आप परे हैं. तो इसीलिए जो आश्रम में जो सच्चा संत होता है, उसके शिष्य लोग आश्रम बनाते हैं, वो खुद नहीं बनाता, क्योंकि वो शिष्य लोग कहते हैं कि संत जी आप इतना जो है महत्वपूर्ण चीज बोल रहे हैं, so we must obviously, it is like the ashram that you have of Swami Virajeshwara. I had gone there. Okay, very small place, and Virajeshwara did not even leave a will for the bank account. इसे मुझे ये आश्रम मैंने इसलिए बनाया क्योंकि मेरे डिसाइपल्स ने कहा कि उनको मेरे पास रहना है. Otherwise he was staying in a cave in Hulimavu. Of course now it is the center of the city, south Bangalore. Hulimavu, I think Rakesh would know, it's on Banerghatta Road. It was the outskirts, and there used to be one temple kind of thing, very foresty area, which was what was then about 30-40 years ago. So he simply lived there. But his disciples came and said, no, you must go to an ashram. We will make the land arrangements. We will buy the land. We will build it. So it was made. So suppose I say, no. I am teaching Gita. I will make one ashram called Rajshekhar Ashram. Then that is absolutely egoistic. That is not allowed. And all these sons who are, denigrated, like Asaram and all these people, who are negative fellows, they make the ashram as a mode of earning money. So it's a highly egoistic enterprise they indulge in. It is not because of so wo jo hai gunatit nahi hai wo log. That's my point that I'm trying to make. Simple point is, if you're doing good, automatically things will get organized through others. But if you say that I want to organize it, main organize karna cha raha hu, then it becomes very, very then it is not gunatit. जो है आप जो है सत्व में है, लेकिन आपका जो है सत्व में attachment है. और कभी-कभी if you have people like Asaram Babu, they are in rajas, they are in tamas. But then there are so many gullible people. Oh, Babuji aa gaye, and then of course we know what Babuji did. He was totally full of only rajas, right? So that is the point. So I hope that makes sense, Sunil.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's the time? It's going to be 12:30. As I think we had thought, it's possible to do only one chapter, given some discussion. So we have 5 minutes. I don't want to start the 15th chapter yet. So I think it's okay. If you're okay, we can sort of.
नहीं, ये गुणों के बारे में आप कुछ और कमेंट्री देना चाहते हो राज, तो आप बोलिए.
Okay. So. What I will do is,
एक जगह ऐसा भी लिखा हुआ है कि जब आपकी डेथ होती है तो उस समय जो आपके गुण होते हैं प्रिडोमिनेंट, उसके हिसाब से आपकी नेक्स्ट बर्थ होती है आपकी. करेक्ट. तो मान लीजिए आप में जो है सत्व ज्यादा है, तो you may be born at the time of death, मतलब आपने पूरा जिंदगी जो है तामसिक उसमें गुजारी है, जैसे हम लोगों ने राजसिक या तामसिक गुजारी है.
So that does not happen. That is not the right interpretation. क्योंकि भाई आपका जो है जो भी कॉम्बिनेशन है, जो भी आपकी पर्सनालिटी है, उसके मुताबिक ही लोगों की मौत होती है. More or less, of course, you have some unusual cases where good people have, like it happened. One of our ex-managers, something happened to him. I don't want to share. It's a very, very sad story. He got murdered in some property dispute. He's the most simple man, and he wanted to sell his ancestral property in Calcutta. So he'd gone to meet the buyer. The buyer turned out to be a land mafia goon. So in some discussion, that goon brought out his two gundas and, just killed. So this is a very, very sattvic person dying a very, very tragic death. But then you don't know what has happened to his atma. So the point is that his body has died, but because he is sattvic, I was telling my friends that, he would definitely, he was so sattvic that God wanted a very, very, clear-cut termination. Isse zyada isko sattvic nahi hona. So he got killed. So that's a way in which you can think about it. Some people have very violent deaths, some people have but death belongs to the body. आपके आत्मा के जो प्रॉपर्टीज हैं, आपके बुद्धि और मनस जो कि आपके आत्मा के साथ जाता है, वो तो रहेंगे ही रहेंगे. So he must have felt very, very tamasic at that point in time, But I think it is the proportion of the sattva versus tamas that matters. So it is not that last minute में हमने See, it is both ways, अगर आप भागवतम पढ़ेंगे तो भागवतम में कहा गया है कि अगर आप जो है राम का नाम लास्ट मिनट में बोलेंगे ही और आप जीवन भर आप जो है पापी रहे हो, आपने लास्ट मिनट में राम का नाम बोला तो आपको जो है बेड़ा पार हो जाएगा. Now this is all, to my mind, it is only trying to make people more religious minded or more spiritual minded in the last minute. But see, the point is that a lifetime's habit cannot change in that last minute. So जो भी आपने जिंदगी भर जो किया है वही आएगा. अब just to encourage people when they retire that they should do it, then you have the story in Srimad Bhagavatam. There was a gentleman called Ajamila. Ajamil ka who's that? Ajamil ki story में he had a son named Narayana. Okay, ये एक महापापी था. तो when he was on his deathbed, he was saying नारायणा नारायणा. तो वो तो अपने बेटे को बुला रहा था. फिर जब उसकी मौत हो गई तो देखा कि भाई ये वैकुंठ में बैठे हैं. Then somebody asked him, how can this useless fellow go and sit in Vaikuntha? Then Vishnu says that नहीं, in his last minute he uttered my name. उसने नारायण बोला. भाई, someone else said he was calling out his son, he was not calling you out. So that is why in India you have the practice of naming people after God. कि भाई आपने बेटे को भी बुलाया तो कम से कम indirectly आपने ऊपर वाले
भगवान का नाम ले लिया.
That is fine.
वो सॉफ्टवेयर ग्लिच है वो, somehow it works, looks like.
राज, किसी ग्रंथ में ये गुण के लिस्ट भी बनाई गई है क्या कि ये वाला हम ये गुण बोलेंगे?
सर वो I think Sunil knows that, Sunil Rastogi knows that little book.
हाँ, एक किताब आपने रेफर करी थी. I think I must be having Not Too Loose, Not Too Tight, Just Right by Swamini Bimlananda.
Right.
ये वाली book.
Correct. Absolutely.
Just right.
Just right.
This is a handbook sort of thing, a small book. और इसका आपने उसमें किसी लेसन में, I think 5th or 6th लेसन में जो सेशन हुआ था उसमें इसकी समरी भी दी थी.
Correct. I think it's there. I'll tell you. In fact, I'll point it out to you. What I'll do is at the end of this class, I will send a link to that particular presentation.
Okay.
It is there in a folder, but then you will have to search for it.
Yeah.
So
नहीं उसके बुक में एंड में ही समरी दे रखी है उसकी, वो टेबल बना के टेबल फॉर्म में दे रखी है इस तरह से.
मतलब राज के आपके प्रेजेंटेशन में भी दिया हुआ है लगता कहीं.
हाँ, ये आपके प्रेजेंटेशन में 5th or 6th सेशन में है किसी में.
Okay, just tell the number in the link. We'll find out.
Extremist.
I'll do that. So that gives you an entire rundown on sattva rajas tamas. क्या है अगर आप छींकेंगे तो सात्विक छींक है कि राजसिक छींक है. It gives you everything. Totally detailed.
वो काफी अच्छी, मतलब उसमें अच्छे से कवर किया, डिस्क्रिप्शन में भी दिया है और समराइज भी किया है उस बुक में.
Correct. Absolutely. So I think I will now pose the question to Vishwarup. Yeah, Vishwarup, you have any thoughts?
Yeah, there are 2-3 things I want to just share actually. Since I have learned my I've been guided in a ashram related place where my Gurudev actually gave us a lot of food for thought, and also ashram friends and people around us also gave us. We have discussed on a lot of things. One of the issues which comes to my mind is, which I think I need to share, is they say that Chaitanya Dev's specialty was that Gita is the way it is written. There's no explanation, there's no difference. Whatever is written in Gita is exactly to be understood. Then only you understand Gita, because Gita is a part of God. It is so if you change Gita, you are trying to you are trying to impart something on God himself. This is one part. And the second part is like we were discussing about a person, when he utters God's name, he attains Vaikuntha. It is not that the way we see him in the present life, we think he was a papi. He has done a lot of criminal offenses. Then how can he go to Vaikuntha? But yes, we do not know his case history in details. We don't know his past life, what he has done to attain that level. So just by judging by our own thoughts, which the way we see him, we try to understand him in a very fast way. Like Putina, who tried to kill Sri Krishna, she went to Vaikuntha because her past life she was different, and those punya has given her more, what should I say, upliftment in her spiritual level. She had done a crime, but that also, in a way, I mean, she has touched Sri Krishna. She has, what should I say? She has purified herself in many ways, mentally, actually. So exact way of understanding may not be with us, but there is some truth on purity which is acting within ourselves, which makes us attain God. We do not know in details, but there are certain things which we still have to know. Actually, this is what I wanted to share.
Yeah. So there's always a quantum of sattva, sattva in us. So it is a minimum sattva that made Ajamila say Narayana. So what the Lord is saying, even if you have a little sattva, that is good enough for me. I am happy with you. I will take you to Vaikuntha. So that's what we need to understand. In fact, the whole logic is, it is fruitless to comment on others. Our job is to take care of myself. आप जपते रहो, वो जपता है या नहीं जपता है, वो नारायण बोलता है, वो पापी है, वो पुण्य है.
That is not our problem.
Yeah, so that's actually immaterial, because here in the spiritual world, you have to do japa for yourself. Nobody else can do japam for you, no?
Correct.
Nobody else can do the cleansing of your mind for you. I cannot have a bath and you become clean, correct? So all this whole business is very, very personal, and therefore these stories are given only to inspire us. But if we start judging and commenting on the story too much, okay, we can form some judgment rightly or wrongly. That is fair enough. We are only human. But unless we take up a sadhana, it is not understood. In fact, the one point that I wanted to share with Sunilji was, if you recall, I had given you the example of Vaish, Nihal Chand Vaish, the lawyer who has commentary. So in many cases, he has differed from the commentary of Shankaracharya and all the regular spiritual giants of India. And then he says that, look, I am not differing because I wanted to differ. I am differing because that shloka, which I could not understand, and where I differed from the interpretation of Shankaracharya, Madhvacharya, and Ramanujacharya, the three primary acharyas, I took that shloka and meditated on the shloka for weeks together. मैं उसी श्लोका को जपते गया so that I could reach an understanding. So it is not that I simply thought up the solution or thought up the explanation. So he has also done his sadhana. So the point that I'm trying to make is that this is also mentioned by the Swamis of the Ramakrishna Math, where they say very clearly, if you really want to understand the Gita, take one shloka of the Gita per day and constantly think of the meaning across the day. Correct. आपको मीनिंग समझ में आ गया होगा in the sense that you know the meaning at the surface, but if you keep reflecting, माने श्रवण करो, मनन करो, निधि ध्यास करते रहो, तो वही श्लोक जो है, it will give you deeper meaning.
Raj, one more question.
Yeah.
Raj, can I interrupt? Actually, the book which was presented from my ashram to you, the name of the book is Gita Dhyan.
Correct.
After you told me, I started reading that Gita in more details, and then I realized Gurudev has said that Gita, just by reading a slok, you do not understand Gita. You have to do dhyan on that slok also. That is how you elevate yourself. So even so that's why when we read Gita for the second time, we get better understanding. The third time, that is culture, the dhyan culture which is there in mentally, that mentally takes you nearer to the real meaning.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. So I will share with you the example. See, I've often said how I started these classes. It is just on account of a friend of mine who was in IBM who said that, we want to chant Gita together. So why don't you join in? Okay, then I started explaining because I had done some dhyan on some of the shlokas and I started putting together the meaning. Now, what has happened is because I have done 3, 4, and for every class I used to, prepare, understand, see multiple things and see where the meaning was. So in that process, my understanding has improved. So I've not done the dhyan by sitting with one shloka, but let us say I have 3 shlokas to explain in the class from morning to evening. My class is in the evening. Morning to evening, I'll be reading here, reading there, thinking about it. So dhyan means उस पे ध्यान देना, उसके मतलब पे ध्यान देना, उसका एक लेयर मीनिंग निकलता है, सेकंड लेयर निकलता है, थर्ड लेयर निकलता है. So that's very important. So that's the experience I would like to share with you.
एक छोटा सा क्वेश्चन है राज, ये जो अभी बैकुंठ की बात आई, ये बैकुंठ टर्म जो है स्वर्ग के इक्विवेलेंस है या जीवन मुक्ति के इक्विवेलेंट है?
नहीं, that is, yeah, what is that? I'm just 2 minutes, I'll be through. Okay. See, Vaikunt is the place where Vishnu is supposed to stay, as you know. Now, Vaikunt is the Swarga for Vaishnavites. But when a Vaishnavite talks about going to Vaikunt, it means a place of no return. So from the Vaishnavite perspective, Vaikunt pahunch gaye to Jivan Mukt ho gaya. Okay. So that is, so you see, these are all terminologies which are used.
वही मतलब फिलॉसफी क्या कहती है वो थोड़ा समझने की बात है. और दूसरा एक छोटा सा कमेंट भी है, दैट इज कि जो ये कंपैरिजन करने की आदत और जजमेंटल होने वाली आदत, मुझे लगता है ये शायद तामसिक कैटेगरी की चीज है.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
No
तो ये आपका जो
comparison.
इवनिंग सेशन चल रहा है, जो उसमें अभी कहाँ पर है, किस स्लोप पे, कैन वी ज्वाइन सम टाइम?
Sir, yeah, you can join. No, I'm in the 11th chapter. In fact, मैंने कल ही जो है वो 37, 38 and 39 श्लोका जो है complete किया था. But you would be, getting yourself parachuted in. So there are 2 classes I do. One is at 5:30. 5:30 में we are in the 5th chapter. और जो 7:30 वाला class है उसमें we are in the 11th chapter. तो अगर if you're interested, we can. So that is entering in the middle, correct? So I don't know whether.
No, that doesn't make a difference, in fact, because now we have got the basis foundation is ready now for takeoff.
No, that is
so we
good.
can join if it's convenient for somebody. So we can join those sessions.
Yeah.
Can you share the link, because the link would be common for all days?
Yeah. I'll share the link and I will introduce you. So whoever is interested can join and it will be good. So not an issue. आज शाम को class है 5:30 बजे. So my evening class has got 2 ladies. My later evening class has got 1 software engineer, 1 lawyer, 1 financial consultant. And so very interesting background. Professional backgrounds are all different. So these two ladies, one is a teacher and the other one is a housewife. Yeah. Okay, guys, I think there is some problem with lighting.
Okay.
Next week, if you can plan it for Saturday or Sunday, that would be better. Friday, I'll be traveling.
We'll do that. I'll get in touch with you. I'll figure out what to do. Okay. I'll have to end the meeting. Thanks a ton. Bye bye.
Okay. Namaskar. Sabko namaskar.
Thank you so much.